What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And this is Motivation Monday. We're here to get you motivated, excited, and energized for a killer week ahead. Also excited to share some knowledge and answer some of your questions, share favorite quotes, and just let you know what's been on our minds. And that leads us perfectly into our first question. And the question is, I'm looking to sign up at a gym, and one is $10 a month and another is $200 a month. Will I see way more results at the $200 a month gym than I will the $10 a month gym? And I love this question because more than ever, I feel like gyms have been crazy. People are understanding the benefits of them. More people are signing up to them. There's such a great variety of options. There's really niche down gyms like bar classes, Pilates, yoga. All those are always really trendy and popular. But commercial gyms are still quite as popular, and if not more popular than ever before. So thankfully, I have a lot of experience. I actually have 2 gym memberships currently. Obviously, with what I do, it is a benefit for me and it's something I utilize. But I've gone to gyms all across the spectrum. Right now, the nicer gym we go to, Lifetime Fitness, is around $200 a month. I know there are some that are even more premium than that, and I know it will matter by location. Most often, I go to a gym called Good Life Fitness, which is, we'll call it about $50 a month. And then there are other gyms like Planet Fitness, which are $10 a month. You can have your really niche down gyms with special offerings that are like $400. I know there's a really fancy one downtown that I believe is $1,000 a month, and they'll offer like red light therapy, free for personal training, even though you're paying $1,000. So case in point, there's a lot of options out there and it can be overwhelming. So quite plainly, it's easy to get way in the weeds about this and be unsure of where to start. But the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is go to the one that is the closest or the most accessible for you. So if you want to go right before work and you want to shower and go to work, sign up to one that is super close there. If there's one that's 5 minutes from you, that most likely is going to be your best gym. And the reason I say this is it's going to be the least barrier entry to get there. I've gone to some gyms that are further away, and sometimes you can get in your head about it and be like, oh, do I want to go all the way there? But when it's a stone's throw away, I actually find I'll go there more sometimes. I'll be like, oh, I'll just stop in there to shower. I'll go do some cardio and stretch. And it's just that accessibility takes out a lot of that guesswork. If the gym's 30 minutes, 45 minutes away, it's not very fun. You're commuting an hour and a half to go to your workout. It's real easy to talk yourself out of it. So if you start with the one that's the closest, that is where we're going to have the most success. If it's a really expensive one, you can't afford it, obviously don't go there. If it's a really cheap one and you want a nicer one, maybe try it out. You might be surprised. So most often, as the pricing gets more expensive, you're going to get more amenities that come alongside it. So for me, I primarily weightlift. I'll rarely do cardio at the gym as well. I prefer to do it outside. So for myself, I just want a gym that has good amenities and lifting equipment. So in the past, Planet Fitness got a really bad rep because they don't actually have barbells. They only have Smith machines, and they didn't have as many offerings. I recently went to one last year in Florida, and I was quite pleasantly surprised. They had quite a plethora of cables. I think they had dumbbells up to 100. It was a really good offering, and for that price point, it would be hard to beat. And unless you're really into like powerlifting or something like that, that could absolutely be a great solution, especially if it's close. You can adjust your training to make do with the Smith machines. It's not going to kill you. It wouldn't be my favorite thing personally, and I do like to powerlift, so that'd be a deal breaker for me. But it's really analyzing your situation and knowing what's around. But my other problem with these expensive ones is this gym we go to right now, Lifetime. It's way more money, but most people that pay there aren't there to actually do hard strength workouts. It's very easy to distract yourself in that gym. You could go get a massage. You could go to one of the indoor-outdoor pools. You could go to a Pilates class, a running class. Like, there's just all these different classes, and you can kind of feel like you're doing a lot and be busy and loafed around in the multiple saunas for hours, but it can actually detract you away from what you need to do. And that's why I like these bare bones, almost basement gyms. Like, I'm here to lift. I want to get in, crush this, and I want to go back and get out of here where you can. But I do also appreciate showering at the gym, so that's something I weigh in, and that ultimately leans into like how I choose what gym I like. Now, what I'll say is if you start with the one that's closest to you and you hate everything about it, the vibe sucks, the equipment sucks, then you could start venturing out and trying others. And if ever possible, see if you can get a free trial, see what really works well for you. But you're not going to see better results, in my opinion, at a more expensive gym just because it's more expensive. The one thing is psychologically, you might feel more motivation to actually show up if it's a number you can really kind of count on. And I know Planet Fitness's model is a little predatory. I've heard a lot of people will sign up. It's so cheap. You don't even want to call to cancel. You're like, oh, it's $10. Maybe I'll go in a month. And then you end up paying for it for 2 years. And you're like, what did I do? Is such a mistake. So you do definitely want to be aware of these things. And if going to a gym doesn't interest you, you don't want to socialize, you don't want any of those things, or isn't one close, I would explore a home gym. That can be a really good option for a lot of people. You can invest exactly what you want, have the ultimate accessibility. But for me, I find it's more motivating to leave the house. So there's quite a lot of different things to weigh, but I just wanted to give some of my thoughts, and I'm really excited to hear Kyle's.
That was so well said. And I really am glad that Josh mentioned like the more expensive gym, how it's easy to just show up and like you do want to go more often, truthfully, but where it does get tough is that going more often doesn't exactly lead to more and better results. Like let's say you see that I go to Lifetime Fitness, 5 times a week, and I'm there and you can see my records of like I'm there 3 hours a day. That's great, right? I've been to the gym and that's awesome. However, what do those 3 hours look like? And even before this, Josh and I off camera, we were talking about how like even myself, I know a lot of people who will have a really, a track record of just like always going. And, you hear guys in the sauna like, yeah, I've been here for 4 hours today. There's a lot of retirees. And, once again, it's a cool spot to connect. And we've met a lot of cool people, don't get me wrong. But what do those 3 hours look like, right? And that's where it's like you definitely won't get better results than the person who's maybe you see their Good Life Pass. They went 3 times a week. They had an hour-long session, but they were really intense. No one was chatting with them. Like the equipment was great, and they were there with intention. That is going to do so much better than the person who didn't exactly do as much, but they showed up a little bit more often, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's my one take on that one.
And everyone has different goals. I noticed like Lifetime, for example, has a lot of Ironman athletes because it's a great place to do a lot of like spin type training, cardio training, lots of different pool varieties if you need to clock in a lot of hours in the pool. But maybe you're just super into bodybuilding. Being around other bodybuilders is more motivating. And I do find in these more pristine gyms, there's a lot more socialization. There's a lot more networking, especially if you're in the cores of downtown. And that's where I can kind of not be too into it. But just the same, if you're just getting started, it might be hard to jump into like a hardcore bodybuilding or powerlifting gym that's got screamo music on. And a lot of people, you can train shirtless there perhaps. Like every gym has such different offerings. But in general, I've gone to chains a lot and I have no hesitancies against chains. And some gyms to me have like the best equipment but a horrible vibe or atmosphere, if you will, and others have the best equipment, best atmosphere, best vibe. And like right away I will tell you, my favorite gym in the whole world I've ever gone to is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Powerhouse. That's where we train in the winter. Amazing equipment, amazing atmosphere, amazing location. You're looking out at palm trees. Like you really can't beat it, and I love it. But in general, you can't really go wrong with Fit for Less. Planet Fitness, perhaps, depending on your goals. It's cheap and simple. Gold's Gym is another great one. LA's are always okay. Good Life in Canada is like, once again, if you can get the multi-unit, you can go to a lot of different places. But all in all, I find people just like to overthink this. Just sign up for them, try it, go to different ones, find where you gel, and go from there.
Yeah, and see what makes you feel comfortable. Like I've had some talks with clients who they are newer to the gym and they want to feel the most comfortable. So for them to go into the atmosphere and see maybe Planet Fitness as a judgment-free zone, or, you go to that bodybuilding gym and you see a bunch of meatheads, you're like, I maybe don't want this. Like, I really think that the environment for a lot of people, especially if you are newer and you're trying to understand form and you're not sure if you're doing things right, like go in and test it out, do a lap, see what's going on there. And that's a really big factor for quite a few people, especially if you are in your own head. The last thing I'll say, especially if we're talking about $200 per month versus $10, I was in the sauna and I overheard someone the other day. He said, sometimes I'll come here and I'll try to use the most out of everything here, because I'll come 2 times a day. I want to hit the sauna 1 time. I want to get my class done in the morning. And, once again, as I was talking about like showing up, like he's still there. And I think he probably comes 5 to 6 times a week. Whereas when you do compare the $10 one, I know know a lot of people will just say, well, who cares? Like they'll go a month or 2 months. And I know Josh was saying how hard it is to cancel. And some people would be like, whatever. So like when you have more skin in the game, like you've invested potentially more, it is more motivating to be like, I want to get the absolute most. If I'm paying $200 and I show up, 30 to 40 times this month, like if I'm coming, even sometimes twice a day, like the value's there, right? Like you're going to be able to get a lot more bang for your buck. So sometimes it can be more of a better investment to force you to be like, I want to get the most of it, because I don't want to end this month and be like, I went 0 times and I just spent a couple hundred. Like that's just not fun. And I'm always thinking about value myself.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people like to use the price as an objection as to why they never start or why they never sign up. But if you're going like 5 times a week, you'll get your money back really, really fast, and it ends up being a great investment. And even you might think we're nuts for paying $200, but consider our business. We do online fitness coaching. We're able to meet and network with other individuals at that gym. We're able to train hard. It's a gym you can film in, which is phenomenal. It gives us a lot of capacity. There's a nice coffee shop that you're able to work in that's members only. So it gives us a lot of utility. And even Kyle, when we were signing up, he's like, it's the winter, there's not much to do. Like come here and stretch at night, play pickleball, do some cardio. Like it is motivating in that sense to get more out of it. And even for you, maybe it's hard to spend $50, $80 a month, but just make it a goal to really utilize it, right? Like get in there, use the gym for what it should be. And if you're someone who's going there often, it becomes a phenomenal deal. Even home gyms can get quite expensive. And even for me, just the convenience of not needing to do constant laundry, because you can shower there and they already have conditioners and shampoos. Like there can be a lot of quality of life benefits. And once again, I really recommend if you don't have a gym membership, you get one. You're going to get more out of having one 9 times out of 10. Unless you can build a really nice, well-equipped home gym that you'll actually use. But I'd say most people with home gyms, unfortunately, don't use them. And I know you might say, well, I'm not that person, and power to you. A lot of people have them. They're phenomenal. I have a lot of clients that program for their home gyms that are beasts. They're in there. They're getting it done. They don't want to deal with people. They don't want to waste time. So there's a lot of different options with gym. And like I said, I like trying different ones. I think it's really fun. As you build your confidence and you advance in your journey, it's such an amazing thing to utilize. But that was our primary question of the day, and that was a fun one. I think, like I said, it was fitting into the new year, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into our quotes. What do you got, Kyle?
This week I have, whether we think we can or can't, we're right. So coming back to the whole mindset thing, like I just really believe that it is everything. And I've been sharing a little bit more about belief on the Instagram story. And I just think like, as I was talking about my bench press personal record, and it got me thinking about so many things that I've done in my life, like accomplishment wise, whether it's like my 475 pound squat, which like was kind of out of reach, that I honestly probably shouldn't have been able to do at the time, but I just really believed in it. Marathon stuff, like everything, like fitness wise, growth of the business, like it's just, if I sit down and I have so much belief that I deserve it and I can 100% do it, it will happen. If I sit down and I say, there's no way I can accomplish this goal, reach this milestone, I'm right, because I'm not going to be able to do it. So I think like most people, and I was talking once again on the story the other day, and this is why you have to follow us on Instagram, because these are things that like if I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I have a thought, I need to share it. But so many people sabotage themselves because they don't believe they have what it takes, or they feel like they don't deserve success. I know so many times people will be like, hey, I've lost a lot of weight, and because they feel like they don't deserve to lose that weight and they don't believe in themselves, they end up sabotaging themselves, and they end up going backwards, back to their old habits, old routine. And that's just all because of mindset and self-belief. So I'm going to share this quote again: whether we think we can or can't, we're right.
Yeah, self-sabotaging is a really interesting thing, and it's always hard when you're moving to these new levels. Your body wants to revert to where it's comfortable, and it'll be like, just put that weight back on, it's easier. But once you adapt into these new levels, and even with new clients, when they'll come in, I'm like, I'm going to get you killer results. You're going to be absolutely blown away, but it's going to be an adjustment for the next 2 weeks. We're going to have to undo some of the bad habits we built and build new, stronger ones. And then they settle into it in a few weeks, and they're like, oh my gosh, this was just as easy as what I was doing before. I was just like approaching it wrong, or I didn't let myself adapt up to this level, especially with programming. Like once you start to push yourself, it's really hard. Your body fatigues, you feel like it's going to kill you, and then you adapt into it and you're like, oh, this is nothing. It's easy. So that was an excellent example. And as I transition over to my quote, which is, always remember that your present situation is not your final destination. The best is yet to come. And the reason I like this quote it's from the concept of hope. It's real easy to look back and say, I know for a lot of people, they say I was way more fit in high school, or this was so much easier before I had kids. And like, it's really easy to put rose tinted glasses on the past and not have a hope for the future. But I think one of the easiest ways to wish no success on yourself is to have no hope or no belief, like Kyle said, that you can actually advance forward and improve. And I think if we're in like a plateau or a rut of life, like one of the biggest things you need to do is overcome that discouragement and really start to create hope and opportunity for yourself just by taking small actions, moving in the right direction. But when you believe you'll get somewhere, even if it's something that seems far off or ridiculous, you can start taking steps to get closer to it. And that is the biggest thing. It's not necessarily about immediately getting there, but if you just complain and ruminate on where you are, where you could have been, or what you've done wrong, that's not actually going to push you to go forward. So I would just say, like, be really real, call yourself out. Even for me, all the time, I'll do reflection and say, like, where am I slipping up? Where do I need to improve? What do I need to cut this off? Like, am I scrolling reels too much? Am I not eating the frog each morning, which is like doing the hardest thing I can do? Like, am I wasting time doing check log? Like, what actually is going to be a mover for me and addressing it? And even perhaps like you've just been overeating or you've been inconsistent with your tracking. It's like, how can I improve my accuracy here? How can I be real with my situation? What's stopping me from thinking to where I can get? But ultimately, if you want to really push forward, you need to have that belief that the best is yet to come. And you need to have the attitude of wanting to keep growing, wanting to improve. So that was my biggest thing. And I think also nothing changes if nothing changes. If you're trying and failing, be real with yourself. You need help. And obviously, we'd love to be that help for you. And we've been that help for over 4,500 people with our online coaching, where we'll look at that situation, say, this is exactly what's wrong. Here's how you need to improve it. But it's so easy to let your ego get in the way, or to say, oh, no, I need that money for a vacation or something. But when you actually invest in yourself, it's amazing how it opens things up, even going into the gym. And even if that's not something you're able to do right now, like getting support with a friend, like announcing your goals for the first time when you haven't done that before, like these are things that will actually light you up to do them. And when you really believe it too, that's how you'll achieve it. So a little bit of a side rant, but something that was on my mind.
As you noticed, Josh talking about belief there, it's one of the biggest things. Like I always love talking about fitness and talking to other people who are on the same journey. And I sometimes will listen to different trends of like what they say and whatnot. And I do find that a lot of the times, like whatever it is, like there's just such negative talk. I don't know the exact stat, but how many negative things we say about ourselves and other people and whatnot throughout the day. And that's why I'm glad even Josh expanded more on the whole belief side, because once again, you start this journey and you say, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds next year. You have the right goal, you have the right intention, but if you don't have that belief in yourself each day, there's just no way you'll get there. No matter what videos you listen to or watch and whatnot, if you still have that inside of just like, I don't believe in myself, I don't have what it takes, like you might show up for a little bit, but it's going to be so challenging. So on that, I just have a little note here as well. So, I'm thinking a lot about different quotes. And, recently we did a speech, it was last week. We did it for, some high level investors. We did 70, there was about 70 or 80 of them. And we don't do much public speaking, without the camera right here. Like usually it's just camera here, Josh across from me, whatever. But it was really cool to be in a room of some awesome people who have prioritized their business and success like in so many different ways. And one of the the main guy who ran it, his name's Quentin, he had said something about he didn't want to be the richest man in the graveyard, and he lost over 135 pounds. And that quote really stuck to me. And then I asked Josh, I was like, hey man, like there's another quote that you mentioned before, and I thought it was really powerful, and I kind of summarized it in the sense where it was people will sacrifice health in order to make money, then later on in life have to sacrifice money to recuperate their health. This is completely backwards and shouldn't be this way. And so it's just really got me thinking like overall just about how important it is to just focus on the health, like your health right now. And this example kind of also stemmed from having a conversation with a friend of ours who is really focused on business success. And I basically sent him a message. I said, hey buddy, it's time to lock in, like, it's grind time. And he's like, oh yeah, I've locked in this much under contract and stuff. Like I'm on the grind. And my response back was, how about fitness? And he said, oh yeah, I hit the gym, hotel gym this morning. And so my next question would be, what about nutrition, right? So the reason I'm bringing this up isn't to like ever harp, but I think sometimes our focus can be on the wrong things. And then we look back and we're like, man, I was so wrong in that sense. So even when it comes down to like priorities, when it comes to seeing success, like most people will look at fitness and health as like, I went for a run, I worked out, and nothing wrong with that. But most people, if I were to say, hey, how's the fitness journey? They'll say, hey, yeah, I did a class this morning. That's awesome. You've moved your body, but they won't really say things about how they track their calories, how they're avoiding alcohol, how they're doing anything nutritionally. And I think that's what most people need to focus on if they are going to see long-term change. So random, lots of quotes there and lots of thoughts, but that's what's been on my mind.
Yeah, and once again, if you want us to create that change for you and you just want your guaranteed results, and like my job here, when you invest in yourself, like you are offering yourself not only that accountability, but you're putting your money where your mouth is. When you use your money, you're like, I need to use this. I need to get serious about it. And I'm sure for a lot of you, it's very motivational listening to this. It's great thinking about it, about setting goals, but it's hard to actually do it and do it consistently. And that's where when you invest in yourself and you have accountability and you have community, it's like this perfect storm where like everything is forcing you, like the momentum is carrying you like a tide carrying you out to water. It's carrying you out towards better results and helping you just amplify your progress. And totally no commitment at all. You can check out our website to see more about our coaching, see some of our transformation, see what it's all about. Once again, check that out. That will be the second link in the description. And even with that component of hope, like our website was driving us nuts. We built this website, we fixed it, we paid a lot of money to get it fixed. It's still broke and it's all this stuff. And we created a backup plan and we just took action and got it done. So once again, when you're in these plateaus, you got to say, how can I solve this? You can't just throw your hands up and say, oh, well, it's done now. Everything's over. I may as well stop podcasting. I'll stop coaching. I'm going to stop helping people and doing what really motivates me. But we found a solution. We have our website up there now. It was actually our old one. We repurposed it a bit and we'll actually work to make a really great new one as well. But in the meantime, if you want to apply, it's a phenomenal website. It works clean like a whistle. And we want to thank everyone for the patience with that if you were there in that in between. And one other thing I want to say is I actually want to ask for a little bit of help. So we've uploaded now almost 700 episodes, which is amazing. And if you're listening to this, we really want to thank you for tuning in and being a listener. And me and Kyle are really thinking like, how can we add a little extra flair, a little extra spice to this? So I know Motivation Monday is incredibly popular. I know Thursday we do a topic-based video, but we're wondering perhaps if there's some way we could rework that or maybe create a new segment or add just a little bit more excitement. So if you have any ideas or any thoughts about the podcast, where it is, things you love, things you hate, things you think we could do more of, if you want to take 2 seconds, we're not going to get offended. Give us your honest feedback. We would love to hear from you. Just shoot us a DM because that would be really helpful, because I'd love just to hear your thoughts on this, and I'd really want to continue to see this grow as we have, and it's been awesome seeing it still grow and move in the right direction. So if you have 2 seconds and you can kind of shoot us what you love, and hey, don't just say I love it, everything's perfect. Like tell us what do you enjoy? What do you want to see more of? What more can we offer? Any ideas you have, we are all ears. It would mean the world. So you can DM us on Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusFit, and thank you in advance. But now we're going to jump into one of our fantastic clients who has been absolutely crushing it. Who do we have to shout out this week, Kyle?
So this week we have Vicky, and she has gone from 170 to 145 pounds. She's lost 25 pounds. She's 30 years old. She is a full-time paramedic, and she works a lot of overnight shifts, and it's quite a hectic job. I know a lot of people who work shift work, and we've helped so many nurses, whatever the case is, anyone, drivers, like people who just have crazy hours. Like we love taking that person who is really, really struggling. And this was exactly Vicky's situation. She had said specifically she was trying everything, but nothing moved the needle. So for us, it's just about coming in there and giving her exactly what she needs to do that's actually going to work, instead of just trying a million things. And as Josh was saying, in order to change, you have to make change. And that's exactly what Vicky did. She's like, hey, I'm going to get some help. So she's done some great things here. 25 pounds. She placed top 10 in one of our summer shred challenges. And she's done such a great job. And what really stood out about what she's done so far is that she wanted to safely transport and lift her patients, from one place to another, just be stronger for her job, be healthier overall, and be in a great mental spot for her traumatic job. So what I always say is your life will fully improve. Like when you go all in on this fitness journey, although it may sound like a lot of work and sometimes it can be, but I promise you the way that you interact with people, the way that your work situation is, your work-life balance, your situation at home with kids and energy and how you could treat your spouse, and everything starts to get better. And it really, like one thing I'll say here is it really pains me to see so many people with so much potential who are consistently overweight, who just say, oh, I'll do it next year. And I can sit there and I can 100% say your life will be so much better with energy, with the confidence you have in yourself. When you start to lose weight and improve yourself, you're going to feel incredible. So don't wait. I promise you, like take action now. And if you ever need help and support, like Josh said, fill that out down below, second link, and we will absolutely take care of you. But we're really proud of you, Vicky.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and jump into our mailbag for the second question of this week. And that is, when is the best time of the day to work out for fat loss? Is it better I do my fasted workouts in the morning, or is it better I wait till later?
So while there is no best exact science time to work out for optimal results and whatnot, there is definitely a better time for you based off of your situation. So my easiest answer here is just when you're going to be able to consistently go over and over and over again. So we like to just keep it as consistent as possible because it allows you to create a habit. When I'm not there at that specific time, I start to crave the gym. And it's just kind of funny how it works. But while there is no exact science and when you should exactly go for optimal results, I do believe that the morning time is the best for most people. And this is what I've come to the conclusion after working with so many people online one-on-one after the last 10 years, is that I find that when morning comes, it's your time. There's really no distractions. The only thing is your bed's going to want you to, it's going to be calling you to go back, and it's going to be hard to sometimes get out of there. And that's going to be the only downside. When you do begin working out in the morning as well, you might feel a little bit weaker as you have less food in your system. You might have to warm up a bit more because your body's coming from rest when you're sleeping. And then the obvious downside of doing it later on in the day is just simply the amount of distractions that take place and the amount of things that may be pulling you in the wrong direction to stay away from the gym, such as your partner, such as your workplace, maybe your kids. Like there's a lot going on there. So I find that most people, it is actually a lot easier to be more consistent when they create the morning routine. And I even know a lot of people who would say, I'm never going to be a morning person. I'll never be able to do it in the morning. And once they started doing that, they never went back. Like they can go home, they can have their dinner, they can spend time with their family, take care of everything, and they don't have to worry about it. So I really recommend, like, if you haven't ever tried that, I promise you it could change your life and it could change the game. So I'm more of a morning person, but that's I guess a personal opinion there.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and that's the reality. The best time is the time you'll actually go. Going back to what we said about the gym, it's really easy to get in the weeds about this. Oh, it's fasted cardio burns more fat, and that's been disproven, and it seems exotic. And if you have the stomach for it and you feel the most clarity without the sluggishness of food, power to you. For me, I feel I don't need it. And I do find it comes at a slippery slope where you can get really lightheaded, you can get very fatigued, and can be a little bit dangerous. You definitely want some glycogen in your system, some blood sugar for you to burn through as you work out. And that's where, even if you do go early, I recommend to people have a little protein, have a banana, have something, but really experiment. And I think Kyle really hit that one on the head. So that was a fantastic response there. And into our third and final question. Why do so many people film all their sets at the gym? What are your thoughts on filming in the gym in general? And this is a great question, and I've gone through so many different phases with this. So to start, we started filming in the gym before anyone filmed in the gym. So I'm talking 2013, so 11 years ago, and it got some looks. It was weird, but thankfully, we were 18 at the time, and it was in my university gym. Most people are chill with it. Most people watch the channel, but we would get in trouble a lot. Like, we'd get kicked out of a lot of gyms. It wasn't something that was really acceptable. And one thing I'll say about us is we were always very aware, and we really tried to be respectful. If I could not get someone in the background, I really made it my effort not to. But we didn't really understand why people cared all that much, because we were just so focused on getting out great content and growing. And fast forward, I definitely see both sides of the coin, because even I was just doing lat pull downs. This guy was like filming his tricep things really weird, but he's filming like more of me than him. And like in between the sets, you're like, I'm thinking like, if I like check my phone, like if this looks bad on me, or like, you adjust your hair or something, or you got sweaty armpits when the thing comes up. Like, it is easy to overthink it. So I can absolutely understand these hesitations. And it's such a balance between being an influencer, a coach, and also attending gyms. Like some gyms, it feels like a filming studio. People have big DSLRs. You got to navigate around them. They'll get mad if you get in the frame. So I can absolutely understand that hesitation. So to me, I think the best solution is like, if you don't want to be filmed, you hate the idea of cameras being in the gym, find a gym that doesn't allow filming. And there are quite a few that don't allow it or don't encourage it. And there's some gyms that will encourage it, especially influencer gyms, trendier gyms. These are ones you would more so want to avoid. If your gym allows filming and people are doing it respectfully, I have no issue with it. I even texted Kyle, I said, I feel wrong using a tripod in the gym because I was filming my squat warm up, but it really is an efficient way to just film my space. But I can understand how other people would say, hey, I'm just trying to work out here, and influencers have corrupted this. But at the same time, I love that because of filming, like we've helped 30 million people. Like our videos are all educational. We have 30 plus million views on YouTube with their form to improve in the gym and to grow. And I think in general, if anyone ever was like, hey, I'm in the background, I don't want to be, can you delete it? Like we've been quite respectful towards that. But I do find not everyone is respectful about it. So I get that. And with this question, what's fun too is like with the filming your sets at the gym, I think a lot of people will post their wins. I think filming yourself is a fantastic way to gauge your form, because when you watch yourself, and even we joke about this with hockey, when we watch other teams that'll play before us, like we're older now, we just play in a men's league, they look like they're going in slow-mo and they just look like horrible, and it's laughable how bad they are. But when we're out there, we're the best players in the world. We feel fast. It's like NHL level hockey. Then you watch footage of it, you're like, ooh, I don't look as good either. And I think it's good, right? It's a good reflection. You can analyze film and there's merit in that. And the gym's the same way. You'll say, oh, why am I doing this weird thing when I squat? Like I'm shrugging at the end of it for no reason. Like I'm going to cut that out, or my bar path sucks, or my back's bending more. And it can really cause you to reflect. And obviously, if your gym allows this, I think this is a phenomenal tool. Having someone film you doing it, being respectful, obviously that comes second to other people lifting. I think that is the best approach to it. And some people bit back at this. I actually got this question inspired from an article I saw about the benefits of it in the new year. And it was definitely most people being more negative towards it. And people would say, hey, mirrors are there for a reason. Just check your form in the mirror. And I would actually caution people against this, because if you're doing like a row and you're turning your neck all the way to the left to look at a mirror, really can mess you up. And this is where you can pull muscles. You're putting yourself in non-optimal positions. Same with deadlifts. You're lifting a heavy weight. You think about it, you're turning your neck as you're doing it. You're really putting yourself in a compromised position. And this is where you can actually really create some issues, especially when you want to keep your back straight and your face forward. So that's where I'd be hesitant with this. I do think filming is probably one of the easiest and best ways to correct form. And it's not to say you have to film every set, and I think there's more appropriate places than others to do it. But all in all, I think as long as you're within gym policy and you're being within reason, and like we'll mainly just film like sets. We won't film like educational talking-based videos unless the gym's cool with that. And usually those are more like niche gyms where not anyone can go, and that's where we've had success. But I know the filming debate is a big thing, and I know some people hate it to death. They don't want to be around it. They don't want to deal with annoying people, and they make a home gym. So I think there's options for every type of person. There's really set-based like influencer type gyms like the Alpha Elite gym, for example, where you can really go and leverage the fun of that. And there's vlogging cameras left, right, and center. So I think there's so much different opportunity for that. But I do think filming can be a great tool. Having someone help you do it can be great as well. But if you do want to maximize your form too, and as a little reward for coming through this whole podcast with us, with investing in yourself and getting some growth today from an educational fitness podcast, we have a free form guide. It's got like 60 plus movements that we have before and afters of how to do it correctly. We have associated YouTube videos that will help you learn, where we don't only just teach you what to do, we teach you what not to do. And this is like a personal trainer in your pocket. So this is just something we give totally free. We've been told we should charge for it. We paid a lot of money to a nice graphic designer to make it beautiful and easy to understand. But once again, we just want to thank you for tuning in, and that's the gift I want to give back to you. So if you want that, that's the first link in the bio down below, but I'll pass it off to Kyle now.
I just think the benefits are endless of filming. Like today, Josh filmed my squat, and I'm so thankful for it, because I've actually been meaning to ask, like, hey, what's my depth looking like here? Because you always have these thoughts of just like what you're doing, and like Josh said, and you see, and I'm like, man, oh, my heels are coming up, or sometimes I'll shortchange my reps as I increase the weight. And I just think it's easy to overlook that stuff. And, sometimes you'll see that person filming and be like, oh, look at this person. Oh, like, I know people who think that way, right? Whereas when I see someone, I'm like, oh, wow. Like I saw someone film their bench press yesterday. I'm like, oh, cool. Like I don't really think much of it, but usually there is a purpose. And, even for us, we encourage all of our clients to just like take a quick video of most of the main lifts. And even like one client I was working through recently was just the intensity, right? Because our goal is to add as much value one-on-one. So instead of having to hire a personal trainer for $100, $200 an hour to count your reps and say, go deeper or whatever it is, we can still offer so much value. So, they'll set up their iPhone or whatever it is against a water bottle. And, even for one of my clients recently, I was like, hey, like, we have more reps left in the tank. Like it was one of their top sets. And so we're able to work through that to figure out how to most optimally do that. And without the phone or whatever it is that you're using, we wouldn't be able to understand that. And it's a value add that we have there. So yeah, I think for the most part, it's like usually someone has a social media account. A lot of times they are filming themselves just to see, which I totally respect and get. I know sometimes, I talked to one of my clients the other day, she was filming and she has like a little TikTok where she documents some of her progress and it's for fun. And it inspires people too, right? Like that's where it's tough, is like a lot of these things I do believe offer the value. And the biggest thing for us has always just been respect. Like if I'm going to film Josh doing a set, if we're going to do tricep pushdowns, for example, we will go to the set of the ropes where it's in the corner, it's not in the main area, and I'm jumping around, like yelling at him, filming all these things. And like, I always understand angles. Like it's something we've done for years. So I can be like, okay, here's where the best angle is, where no one's in the background, and kind of keep things nice and respectful. So I think like with that, I think that's the most important thing. But unfortunately, a lot of influencers and people who come in there, like they'll just really set up like the biggest, widest angle and like kind of just get everybody in there and film the entire thing. And it's like, okay, like let's just think about other people as well and think of the people who don't want to be filmed. But anyways, that's all I got. So once again, get that form guide, first link down below if you want to learn more about coaching and what we do to help you one-on-one get guaranteed results. Second link for the website. And thank you so much for spending time with us today. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.